Okay, we should be live.
Okay.
Hey everyone. Oh, you were gonna start it.
Yat Hey everyone. How do they say Merry Christmas in Navajo? Is
Yat
it like Yat Keshmish
Yat
or
Keshmish.
Keshmish Najona A? um, so for all of those people who are joining us this evening, I want to say happy holidays. We are like a week and a half into Vlogmas. So I hope you guys have been following us. I hope you're subscribed. I did see that we do have an influx of subscribers on YouTube. So thank you for that. For those who have been watching our videos and comments, that's pretty awesome. We've been reading through them and doing our best to stay on top of liking and responding to your inquiries and your comments. Um, and it's been really cool to see some of the things you guys share with us, the within our topics, we talk about a range of things, and some of our viewers have been really cool and sharing their own experiences and their own viewpoints, and so I think that's pretty awesome. All right, let me hand it over to you, Kelsey,
Hi
to
everyone.
do your greeting.
Yeah, thanks for watching our videos. This year I'm doing my Vlogmas a little bit different. I guess it's more of like the traditional vlogging every day. So the videos are a lot shorter, and I just have to come back and edit every evening to get that updated fast or quickly. Um, so we kind of put a poll out about a week ago, I think the beginning of December, asking if there was any topics you guys wanted us to talk about for this live, and the only one we got was Bigfoot. um, so I don't know how much Adrian knows about Bigfoot or the different trivia about Bigfoot. I know I definitely binged watched a TV show on HBO Max. I was like Finding Bigfoot. So I know a little bit, not a lot. Excuse me, I gotta put my phone on silent. It's been a while since we've been live, so
Yeah, it has been a while, huh? It's been like a couple months, so but it's fun to be back on. I'm
yeah.
hoping we get some of our usuals. Like Brady, I'm looking forward to arguing with you. um, so Sasquatch is a topic, and so most people consider, well, Sasquatch is defined as a legendary creature, right? And so I looked up Britannica on my phone, and
Mhm.
here's the DLA. So Sasquatch is known as Bigfoot, and the name actually comes from the Salish word meaning wild men, typically known as a large, hairy, human-like creature, believed to be or believed to live in the northwestern United States and Western Canada, and seems to represent the North American counterpart of the Himalayan region's mythical monster, the abominable snowman, or the Yeti. So that's also kind of like a cool link, I think, with with the season. The abominable snowman. We have that cute cartoon
Mhm.
of him, right? And I think a lot of people talk about like snowy creatures and stuff this time of year. But I thought it was interesting. So the British explorer David Thompson is sometimes credited with the first discoveries of the first set of Sasquatch footprints, and this is back in 1811. And according to what was shared, like some of the prints that people have found, they've ranged between like 20, like as big as 24 inches. And it's estimated that Sasquatch is probably about between they say 6 and 20 feet tall, which is huge. So I'm going to read a little excerpt here. The Sasquatch legend grew in 1924 after five gold prospectors claimed to have had a violent encounter with gorilla men. in a gorge on Mount St. Helens in Washington, and they now call this canyon Ape Canyon. After the prospectors wounded one of the creatures during the day, the mountain devils returned that night, pelting the prospectors' cabins with boulders and repeatedly ramming the structure. When the attack ended at daylight, the prospectors fled. Although their account was later discredited by US forest rangers who notably proved that the footprints were fake, the story spread. So, and then it followed, with like media and movies are made and stories are told around campfires. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I've heard a lot of these stories when I moved like close to the Cheska Mountains, which is this mountain range on the Navajo Nation just between Arizona and New Mexico. And it moves north toward Utah. So it's this huge mountain range. And a lot of the sheep herders and cattle herders and farmers, ranchers, they talk about this creature living up there, and they talk about the encounters they've had where like they hear that, that growling. They hear, like, I went on this hike, and there was this old grandma like up on top of the mountain, and she was like asking the guides if they had a gun. And they were like, yeah, we do. Why? And she was like, yeah, you shouldn't come up here without a gun because you don't know what you're going to encounter. And she said the last time she saw him was like the last season, and she shot at it, and it didn't go close to her. It was kind of like encroaching onto her, where her sheep were. They were penned up around a tree. And so she was saying that it was one of those seasons where there hadn't been a lot of rainfall. And so because of that, that affects, how people get to eat up in the mountains. And so she was saying it might have had something to do with that. But she was just kind of warning us. And I mean, I feel like grandmas are always up to mischief. So she might have just been trying to scare us, like a bunch of punk kids like up on the mountain. But I don't know. I've heard some really crazy stories too. So I don't know. How about you, Kelsey?
Me personally, never any actual stories on my own because, like, I live out in Cameron. There's just dirt. There's nowhere for the Sasquatch to be hiding in the woods.
Hmm.
But the show I was watching, they were talking about that. Like, they started out in Washington
Hmm.
and looking for like different Bigfoot. Like, they had some weird like analytical map on like where they were most likely to find the best um, sightings
Hmm.
for the Bigfoot, depending on the time of year. So like they went through all of the different reports and sightings, and just sort of mapped the when and where the Bigfoot sightings would be. And I'm so sorry about our internet right now. It's like really slow at the moment. I see it just going so bad and like stopping the live every once in a while.
It
So
is.
yes, it's so slow. I just told my husband and little one to like get off the internet, but it's still so slow. I don't know what happened um with our internet connection. The quality of it went down so bad. Um
Okay.
I
Well,
know.
Brady's on, and did you see his comments?
Um
He's all, "Hey y'all, there's no audio. Can't see you guys. Just kidding." Here, silent night, holy night, all is calm. I'm freshly graduated. I look forward to our argument. She's all, haha. Congratulations, Brady. I'm so proud of
Yeah,
you.
woo.
Woo! Yeah. That's awesome. Yay. That makes me so happy. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
We're rooting for you. Here, let's toast to Brady A.
All I have is my mug full of knitting yarn.
It's Navajo tea time. Come on. What's the tea, Brady? A.
But yeah, but like the whole show, there's like 5 seasons, I think, and they
Hmm.
were saying how like the Sasquatch are either like interdimensional beings or they have like cloaking technology or
Hmm.
this weird like infrasound. infrasound
Mhm.
device or the ability to produce infrasound, which makes
Mhm.
people sick. Like different sound
Ooh, that's
waves and
crazy.
everything, and it makes
Really?
people sick and nauseous.
Mhm.
Kind of like how EMF does the same thing to people, where they just feel off, or like somebody's watching
Mhm.
them, and that could just be like some of your old electronical devices or old wiring in a house, or ghosts,
Mhm.
or Bigfoot. And it was really interesting because like some of the stuff that they've captured, like sometimes they'll capture a shadow, but they won't capture what casts the shadow. And it'll just
Mm.
be like the shadow on the wall, like like how a shadow would normally move, but then you would see something go in front of it. But they would just capture the shadow, not the thing going in front of it. And then
Mm.
like orbs, like floating orbs are also associated with Sasquatch out in the wild, or
Mhm.
big feets. I don't know what the plural for them is. But like, yeah, like orbs are also associated. Like, when people who encounter Bigfoots also see orbs, like floating orbs in the forest, and they talk to different like tribes in the areas where they're looking, or like the different local folks, like
Mhm.
out east in the Appalachian Mountains. They talk to those people out there living in those mountains, and the encounters they have with what they call like a skunk ape. So like
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
interesting how like there's all these different type of like the Sasquatch, the Yeti, the skunk ape, and they're all described as similar things, like
Mhm.
the same similar creature. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like I've so what I heard from people that were like in the wheat fields area, there were these loggers or like woodcutters that would go out, and there were these accounts of people seeing like, well, okay, so this is what I heard specifically. There was this logger who was out in the woods, and he said that he was really like having a good day. He filled up one flatbed, and then he was like, oh man, like it's still early, maybe I'll take down another tree. So he went and took down another tree, and he was cutting it down. He was like having a good day. He was saying, I'm going to sell this wood, I'm going to make enough money to do, A, B, and C. He's all happy about it. And then he heard this commotion over by his truck. And he was like, what the heck was that? And then he started to feel like he was being watched,
Mhm.
like from different angles. And he was like getting this creepy feeling. But he kept cutting up his wood and loaded it up. And then he was like, I kind of was like considering taking down a little more wood. He was like, I bet I could take down one more and then just like chop it up and come back for it later. And then he heard like he started to hear noises, and he didn't like it. He said it felt really scary. And so he was like he went back to his truck to check on things, and he said that his cooler had been opened and all of his food had been taken out. And he was like, what the heck? And he was like, can animals do that, like open up a cooler? And then I know we know bears can do that for sure. So he was like, well, maybe it's a bear. And then he was like loading up what he currently had, and just as he was about to go and take down another tree, excuse me, he said he heard this like growl. And he said it didn't sound like a mountain lion, it didn't sound like a bear, it sounded like something else.
Mhm.
And then he said this being appeared, and it looked like what we would think a Sasquatch would look like. Big, tall, hairy. But he said it looked like it wasn't even touching the ground. He said it looked like it was almost like just barely floating. And he got really freaked out and he took off. And he was saying that in his mind he was feeling like um this is what he said. He was like, I felt like I was being greedy by wanting to take more wood than I actually needed. And he believes that this thing appeared to chase him off or to scare him, to be like, hey, dude, like, you know, like too much. And so the logger was saying that he believes that those beings are like guardians of the forest, that they protect it. And then I also heard that some people think that they they have they have the ability to like camouflage really well.
Mhm.
And I heard this other story. It was there's two Navajo boys, and they went to go see this. So this dude, he was dating this girl. I told the story before too. I don't know if you guys are probably like, we heard this one already, but for our new our new viewers, I'll tell you this story. So there was this. So this is what he said. His friend's girlfriend, she was living up in that like Narbona Pass area. Like when you're kind of in, it's like where like not like between Wheatvilles and Winter Rock, there's Narbona Pass, and it goes over the Cheskas. And so a lot of people have like ranches and stuff out that way. And so anyway, she was living out that way, and he wanted to go see her, and it was in the evening. And so his friend was like, I'll go with you. So they went, and he's like, I need to talk to her. So he's like, okay, whatever, let's go. They went to her house, and they lived kind of like in a ranch house with a porch. And so he was like, hey, dude, I'm going to go talk to her, and like just wait out here in the truck. I'll be back. So he goes to the porch, and he's talking to her outside. And then the guy was waiting in the truck, just like, he was fine with it. But then he noticed, like, I don't know, he got this weird feeling, he said. And so he was like looking out around him, and he said it was dark and you could see the forest, but there was also like a field like on the right side. And so he could see out the window, and he was like just kind of feeling like he was being watched. He was starting to feel uneasy. And as he looked, he saw these like big mounds, and he for some reason he thought they were like maybe hay, like when you see hay rolled up, or like alfalfa, rolled up in a big bale. He
Mhm.
thought that's what those were. And
Mm.
so he's sitting there looking at them, and then he noticed one of them move, and he was like, what the heck? And then he I don't know, he was like, I just got this stupid idea to like growl. And he was like, he wanted to, because they say that you can make like the call to them, and a lot of people in that area, especially the dudes, man, these guys are all naughty. They really know this stuff, and they play with it, right? So anyway, so he makes the call, and he said that it got up and it got big, and it like growled like really loud, like not like a lion, not like a bear, but like this thunderous scary roar. And he didn't feel safe, so he jumps out of the truck and he runs to the porch. And those guys had run in when they heard it. So he's like banging on the door, and then they let him in. And they were like, what the heck was that? Like we could feel like the vibration like shake everything. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And she was like, what did you do? And so he told them, like, I was sitting there and I like made that call, and I don't know why, I just did it. And then she was like, you're not supposed to do that. You know better. Anyways, so they waited there for a while, and then he was like, his friend was like, we need to go. So they're like, all right, let's go back to the truck. So they go out with a flashlight, and they pointed the flashlight toward where that field was, where those mounds were, and all three of them were gone.
Mm.
Mhm. And so, like, they run into the truck and they leave, and he was all freaked out. There's another video on YouTube I saw, and this is at Wheatfield's Lake. This kid was like doing that call, because there's a call you can do,
Mhm.
and they say that if you do it, it'll respond. And he was just like messing around, and he recorded this too. And he did the call, and then you could hear it like up in the mountain, like
Mhm.
far away. And then he did it again, and it was like getting closer and closer. It was crazy. I was like, dude, like, why would you even do that? So yeah, that area is wild.
Yeah. Um yeah, there was definitely theories like that team that had the theories about like the Sasquatch having the ability to cloak, the ability to like cloak themselves or like have um invisibility technology.
Mhm.
And they were saying,
Technology.
well, like, do they have technology or do they have powers or is it all just the same? Because there's like different theories of like what the creatures can be and like if they're interdimensional beings and they just like come into our world every once in a while or whatnot. But they were saying that in California, um, there was the discovery of nests And so the
Mhm.
government reclaimed the area where those nests were found to
Mhm.
be national parks again. So they took it away
Hmm.
from private land and made it back to national parks so that people don't disturb the area or
Mhm.
disturb those nests that they found.
Nests?
Yeah,
That's
like little
wild.
like like how you would find ape nests or
Mhm.
bedding in the trees and stuff, and they found those in California.
Whoa. I have this friend who like was really obsessed with Sasquatch for a long time, like for a number of years before he had a girlfriend. And he was and he was saying that there's I'm just kidding. But there's like this they do this thing where they like it looks like a tree is turned upside down with the roots up, and then
Hmm.
it does almost like a nest up there. And they said that's a symbol that you're in their territory. And
Yeah,
then I don't know if you've ever seen this, but at NAU they have 3 of those.
yeah, those are just made by the NAU people. I think
But
it's an
why,
installation.
right? Like, do they have Sasquatch working for NAU? I'm just kidding.
Have you seen some of those
Let's
professors? Just kidding. Um,
I know.
no, like the last season, I didn't watch the whole last season. But they went to Alaska
Mhm.
and that they had some of those structures out in like the wilderness where it literally looks like someone grabbed a tree and turned it upside down and stuck it in, and like they
Mhm.
find them in like triangles.
Yeah, see, like, there's 3, right?
Yeah, like they're like triangulating areas of like this is our territory or this is our spot
Oh, like
or
their
our
border?
area. Yeah. And the ones up in Alaska, all the stories up there are like they're very dangerous. Like they will kill you. You will get attacked if you go near them. And like the ones down south are a little more chill and more mischievous
Mhm.
from some of the stories that you hear. Like they just get you
Mhm.
lost and disoriented in the forest. But the ones up in Alaska, up north, they'll just rip you apart, I guess.
Um,
So that's
well, food is scarce, so you don't wanna mess with them.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And
the ones I heard, like, the encounters I heard, they weren't violent, you know what I mean? They were,
mhm,
like they just kinda wanna it seemed like they just wanted to be left alone. You know,
mhm,
like, there's stories of people seeing them, like Brady just shared when he was younger, he said he wrote, "When I was younger, I seen this tall figure at the corner of my eye. This was this was on the San Juan River. It was moving back into the brush, and his cousin saw it too." You know what I mean? Things like that where it's like it gets seen, then it kind of recedes back. I heard another story where someone was driving over Buffalo Pass and they saw it where that spring is. There's like a natural spring on Buffalo, like going at Buffalo Pass. And a lot of people go there to get the spring water for their ceremonies or just like bless themselves. And they said they saw it there. It was like drinking water. And then another person said that he saw one running across, like kind of like alongside the road going up. And he said it looked like it was carrying a baby, like a little one. And I was like, what? I've never heard of that before.
well,
And then,
like it's not like it's one Bigfoot just being everywhere. That's immortal.
well,
Um,
it might be, just kidding. No, but I like this other person, there's this other theory too that my husband was saying the other day because we happened to just be in the area this past week. We went to New Mexico, and he was like what if they are interdimensional beings that kind of come in and out, and that's why we never find evidence of them, or we never find like their trash or things that they leave behind, you know what I mean, even like their excrement.
mhm,
And like I wonder about that too. But there's also people that have stories of chasing them down, like in Saley.
mhm,
Saley is another rowdy community. I used to live there. The maintenance men at Denver College have stories, man. Like they're wild stories. So I mean, I don't know if that was Sasquatch they saw, but they say that there are some really big footprints like along the back trails.
mhm.
The last time I was out there, and we used to just joke, we used to say it was the president. We call him the guardian of like the guardian of Saley, and people just joke like that he like, have you ever seen the president and Sasquatch in the same room together. No, why? It was just a silly joke. But yeah, but no, there's definitely footprints out there. I've seen those actually. Like they're big, like big
Mhm.
footprints. Like they're not basketball player footprints, they're like really big. And I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
I better get out of here.
That show I was watching also, like, they'd have their trail cams and they'd set it in a specific place, and then they'd come back
Hmm.
a couple days later, and some of them look like they moved the trail cam. They're like, "Don't look at
Really?
me," or like the whole entire thing is just ripped off of the post or the tree that they put it on. And
Hmm.
it's like animals don't care if they're photographed. But it seemed
Hmm.
like every time they put up a trail cam that was pointed in a good direction, it looked like something came up and moved it or changed the direction or just totally ripped the camera off of the post.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
What?
interesting.
That is wild. Okay, so that's our topic for Sasquatch. Do you have any questions or comments that you want to add to that, or should we move on to a different topic?
um, I remember they were talking to the military, like ex-military and whatever, and they were
Hmm.
saying that the US government knows about Sasquatch. Like sometimes when they do the trainings in those areas, they
Hmm.
told some of the people, "Hey, leave these things alone. Don't
Hmm.
engage," or like we're gonna, so I don't know if the military is hiding the evidence of Sasquatch. Probably, but you
The
know.
government.
Well, they just released UFOs being real like a couple years
I
ago.
know. It's like we've
Maybe
been seeing that all along. Just kidding.
they just wanted to distract us from something else. Like, here, aliens exist. We're like, yeah, but what about gas prices? And they're like, aliens.
What about war and famine? Come on, we got two wars going on right now. And that's just the ones we know of. Like
Right.
there's so many other things going on in the world. Let's talk about that. Ew, just kidding.
I wasn't prepared
That's
to
the
talk
real tea.
about world events. I was prepared to talk about Sasquatch and Christmas.
I didn't do my research on the
The
I
socio
know.
global economy today.
Oh, so do you have any hot tea?
Hot tea. I ca- oh, I don't know what it is, but today when I was coming back from work, because I work part time at Change Labs, I saw like a giant flyer that said, what did it say? Something about like impeach Boo.
Oh, that's the tea. No kidding. That's what's going on right now, huh? Oh my God. Prayers for Navajo Nation. Geez, we're going through it.
And it's just like all this back and forth between like the vice president and the president, and then I noticed like on my vlogs you see like my calendar, like the Boo Nigerian
Mhm.
calendar, and I just want to say it was a free calendar, okay?
You have a boo.
They gave it out during like last year. They're free calendars.
Waste not. Okay, that's the tea. Just kidding. Yeah, I just like, and I looked down. I was wearing this like vote for Boo shirt. Like,
I don't know. I don't know what like the details of everything is. I tried looking it
yeah.
up, but it just seems like a lot of I don't know. I don't know the details of why we're
Hmm.
impeaching people this time.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's a very specific group of people that are gathering petitions, and I think they have until March to get and I think, oh God, this, don't quote me, this is an unofficial number, but I think it's between 45 and 60,000 signatures. I don't remember if it was 45 or 60, but it's a lot of signatures, and they have until March to get it. And so there's this group of people, they're going around to all the different flea markets, they're coming out to the valley. You know what I mean? They're doing
Mhm.
everything they can to get people to sign this petition to impeach our president of the Navajo Nation. And I mean, they have their reasons. I think one thing, like the piece of tea that I'm skeptical of is just that I know that one of the largest and loudest proponents of the impeachment is someone who lost their bid for president. And I don't know, they've just been salty ever since. And I don't trust that. You know what I mean? Like a part of me is just like I see right through it. You know what I mean? And they're all kind of like be like, I don't know. They're just trying to follow this narrative of I'm a good person. I'm doing it for the people. It's like, first of all, like I know you. You're not a good person and you don't do anything for the people. You do everything for yourself. So that's the only reason why like I will not sign it. I'm like, yeah, that's the T right there. But I'm not gonna sign it for that reason. I'm just like, no, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
people made their choices. They voted. I'm someone who does respect that. Like, I respect the fact that people took the time. I mean, it's hard to vote on the nation. Like, it's never easy. People. I mean, so many people live in rural communities, and to even get to a voting area, that's like a whole challenge.
Mhm.
I mean, if you are registered at one chapter and you work on the other part of the Navajo Nation, that's like a multi-hour trip. I used to do that. I used to travel from Saley all the way to Tuba City to vote. And then at one point, when I was working on a home site lease in Kaibato, I was registered in Kaibato at the like for that chapter. So I would go all the way to Kaibato to vote, and it was a whole day thing. And so, like, I know the challenges of what it takes to vote. I mean, some people have even a 30-minute drive, right, from Cameron to Tuba, or even that's a challenge, especially like in the winter, like when it's like in November.
Mhm.
There's all kinds of different things. And so I don't know. I'm just kind of like annoyed by it, but I get it. Like they believe they're in the right and they have the reasons and they're seeking out signatures. And so I'm like, all right, you guys do you. Um, but yeah, I think that's my tea on that. But yeah, there and I think that the investigation is still ongoing too. Last I heard, the investigation on what was happening, like the sexual misconduct investigation that's occurring within the office of the president and vice president.
Mhm.
I believe that's still ongoing. The AG did, submit the paperwork that she was supposed to on time, and it was then handed over to an external investigator
Mhm.
to prevent any kind of conflicts of interest, right? And so that's already been conducted and it's kind of I think it's still ongoing, so we'll see what the outcome is. I haven't heard anything more about that though. Um and I think like I don't know, like just for me personally, I mean, like, Boo knows where I stand with his presidency because during the election season, we had those conversations, right? And so I'm sure everybody knows where I stand right now, as far as like who I voted for and who I supported. But like, um, I really think that he's been making a lot of